our speaker of the month is Quinlan Wilhite. Quinlan is a local in every sense of the word, a native Tucson, deeply inspired by identity, community, and lifestyle. His business started as an online feed, paying homage to his childhood and personal interests. The patches of the cumulative quilt are skateboarding, cars, music, and art. This is the core of his brand's aesthetic. I'm sure y'all have seen it around. QMULATIVE is a Tucson-based lifestyle apparel company founded by Quinlan after his grandmother taught him how to sew around 2012. Since then, he's been learning scaling and collaborating. He shared, "I've always followed streetwear and streetwear culture and knew I'd start a brand one day to put my own spin on the scene, but never thought I'd be making the product myself." QMULATIVE is a Southwest-inspired lifestyle apparel brand with the signature product being the AC Pocket Tee. Quinlan, welcome to the stage.
How's it going? Yeah, like Anita said, super grateful to be here. Cool opportunity. I love sharing my journey and just showing that it's viable, designing and designing in fashion. And I see familiar faces, new faces, and it's just been a blast. I've come a long way from just having an idea from a simpler pocket tee, kind of like the upside down house shape, and took that to my grandma. I figured grandma's gonna make it because grandma's good, and that'll be it. And that's kind of all it was. And then my grandma taught me the basics and sent me out on my way. So I love sharing my journey, how I've taken it, consistently from an idea to putting my own spin on it, and then all the way up to winning Fashion Week and scaling. And there was a quick little clip. It made for a good Instagram post. There was a corner of a shirt, my buddy Zach Hall, on the season finale of Dancing with the Stars. So yeah, half a second clip, but it made for an Instagram. Don't tell anyone. So yeah, my name, again, Quinlan Wilhite, and having a blast. Love sharing my story. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm super visual. This is my girlfriend Tiffany in the front row, and she no longer has a living room. I've taken it over. It's now my workspace. And yeah, a lot of notes, a lot of visual cues. It works for me. It would probably make your eyes bleed, but I'm having fun. I'm getting stuff done. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to run through, patterns, how I see it, whether they be good, bad. I was joking with someone at Riley. He's like, weather patterns? I'm like, calm down. But yeah, good, bad, consistencies, tendencies, also the flip side, right? Depending on how you see it, breaking patterns. I've got some personal mental health stuff that I've gone through in the past 2 years, big pivots and rock bottom, and just coming out of that was a success, all within its own. So we'll start here, the top left. I started, this was QMULATIVEblogspot.com. It's actually still active, which is kind of funny. And that's my last post. I took this screenshot a couple days ago. So 250,000 views. I don't know how many of those were mine, just dialing in the colors and stuff like that. But it was cool. So I always followed the streetwear scene and the culture. My buddy Kevin Mason, who I played hockey with, introduced me to just graphic tees and this brand called Tank Theory, and Karma Loop, which was kind of like an indie streetwear platform. And yeah, I got hooked. I was buying all these indie brands and just wearing it. Never really thought of it past that. But so I started an online feed just sharing, my interests, right? And not trying to force them upon anyone, if you will, but just sharing what I liked, following maybe some European blogs and forums and kind of pulling music, and like Anita said, the 4 core disciplines of my brand. So stuff I either grew up doing or with an appreciation for, or support to this day, and also and involved with. So the skateboarding scene, we grew up skateboarding, kind of had to get out of it because we kept getting hurt, and all our money, or a lot of the family money, was tied to club hockey and traveling. So yeah, always coming back to these core 4. So skateboarding, the hip hop scene, the automotive scene. So I've done road rallies and stuff, so kind of some crazy stories there. And then art, usually street art, murals. As of late, I have more of an appreciation for architecture and stuff like that. But yeah, the feed was just sharing what I liked, with my friends. And that's all it was in the beginning. But I stayed consistent with it. There was there was a daily routine, and I finally figured out like Google Alerts, instead of just checking all the sites, I could just set it to be like, is there anything even new, like worth looking at? And just sharing my, I guess, cumulative, right, the regular spelling of it, perspective and kind of umbrella. And so that's what it was. I got into stickers. This was brutal. I'm sure Chris Carls is laughing at this one. That's like a screenshot of a screenshot. The top right photo, those are both Microsoft Word fonts. Horrible. I don't know why Reproductions even printed these, but it was kind of guerrilla. It was guerrilla style and guerrilla marketing. And so I would pass out stickers just for awareness to my friends and streetwear shops. I would PayPal this guy like $50 and he would just give me a stack of them, and just getting the name out there. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do, right? I hadn't done any product. I hadn't made that jump yet. That was a blast. It was cool looking at the blog spot and finding photos like this. Just trying to get the name out there. I interned in LA. That was just a big jump. I was working at Sauce on Campbell, which kind of dies over the summer because our only demographic really, at least back in 2010, was like Greek life. So they all went home to California. And I had $1,200 to my name and a friend to stay with in LA. And I shot out like 75 emails. 4 people got back. It was all unpaid stuff. And I just wanted to submerge myself in the scene, right? Get my feet wet and really delve into this world, I guess, this culture that I had only kind of followed from afar with the blog, and kind of, try to curate my selection of, but I hadn't really taken that leap. So I did 4 unpaid internships, 2 private label hat companies, one we ended up using for this hat, and then 2 shops. It was kind of whoever wrote back, but it was cool. I went to trade shows, way too much driving. You figure out day one in LA, just stay where you are, depending on the time of the day. This was a great hat that we did. It was with a brand, Frontline exclusive, and it was full private label, right? It didn't have any other branding or the manufacturer of the hat. So super cool. We sold, I think, 144 in 72 hours, 96 hours, strictly online. And so from that point, I knew there was something here. And I wanted to pursue that and try other products. This was pre-pocket tee. Kind of fast forward, so this is my grandma. She taught me how to sew, 2012. Pretty rough. I was talking to Tiffany about how the brand started product-wise. I got a $75 gift card to H&M, and I don't really need $75 worth of anything, let alone maybe what I thought were just basics or more plain apparel. So the first tees, I just maxed out. I spent that whole $75 gift card on blanks and then put the pockets on it, and that's what my grandma taught me how to sew on. And so I got a Zocalo, remember that magazine, Zocalo? So I got a cool write-up. I just did an interview for a friend, and she's like, hey, you're in the June issue, for print. Always consistent. This was a first full circle moment. It was great to connect with my grandma on something that she was so passionate about. She got into sewing just to make cooler clothes for her dolls. And her stuff is wild, like super clean. So this was cool. She taught me a simple tote bag and just the upside down house shaped pocket tee, and kind of sent me on my way. And I took some classes at Pima, and I'll share more of the journey as we go forward. But so it was cool to, I'm sure this was a proud moment for my grandma. And I feel like grandmas are pretty humble, or completely humble just by nature. So she never wants any credit, but it was cool to connect with her on that. And it was also, I'm sure awesome to see what I did and what I accomplished and how far, I've taken it. So we'll keep this going. The next theme that I wanted to delve into is just, pivots, recalibration. And so kind of a random order here, but top left, Arizona. So heir to the throne. This was a cool motif that I came up with when the U of A basketball team got pretty hot. And I don't do a whole lot of graphic design and or screen printing. I came in sewing, I've stuck to sewing, but this was cool. Did really well. I liked the verbiage, and we kind of incorporated the basketball lines into that crown there, cutting the net when you win. So my buddy Fred Hart went to the U of A. He designed the cumulative logo, and I I remember sending him this motif. I wrote it like on the back of I was bussing tables at Congress at the time. And I wrote it, the spelling on the back of like a dirty receipt, you know, and it was something that I just liked the spelling, and it seemed super fitting when the U of A team got hot. So I sent him this word, this motif, and he's like, what's your Venmo? You know, like, let's go, let's do it. So those did really well. Again, pushing the boundaries, right? Breaking out of this pocket tee box. I don't even know if I'm in it, but I feel like that's what I'm known for. And so jumping up into Fashion Week, right? And going through the Fashion Week boot camp and their curriculum, the business of fashion, right? How to pitch, if and when, margins, you name it. A lot of it was new to me. So it was scary, right? I had to bump up to 24 pieces, right? I had 12 models. And so this one, on a literal sense, was a really cool pattern that I found, I think at SAS on Speedway. I wish we still had it. There's a huge one in Phoenix. But this was a great pattern. It was Southwest. It was a bar scene, right? So you had people taking shots. You had people dancing, playing piano. So it was cool. It was something I found and then put my spin on it, right? Branching out, but always staying true to the brand. So we did, you know, on top like a yellow cowl, like a buff. We ran a button placket down the side, just kind of combining these silhouettes, having fun with, you know, clearly the color blocking and the continuity of the pattern throughout the garment. So that was cool. I got to work with my sewing one teacher, Rachel Johnson, on the garments, and had a blast, you know, stretching my legs. It was scary. This wasn't from the year I won, but I ended up winning Emerging Lifestyle Designer of the Year for Fashion Week 2017. So I was their guy for all of 2018. But yeah, this is great. I love stretching my legs. It's what I want to get into, you know, cohesive collections. Bottom left was our biggest order to date. We worked with Sonoran Stitch Factory. I think they're still like Grant and Oracle. But kind of a cool story. So one of the last times I was at Brink, I filmed a Thrive series, and because I had won a pitch competition. So again, stretching my legs, pushing myself, challenging myself. And it was cool to see, you know, Cumulative right there on the screen with, I think, the Rialto Foundation and Borderlands. So that was a cool Vantage West tie with filming that. And also they picked me for like a Tucson trivia thing. They had a green screen, and I think we were just doing for content. I never ended up seeing the video after that, but it was fun. It was tied to the, you know, it's full circle to Brink. It's a cool community tie. So this Vantage West order, you know, could have been like 7 years in the making, right? Just keeping my head down, trying new things, pushing. I had some affiliation from the pitch competition and stuff. So this was cool. They chose me to do staff shirts, I think, for an all-company conference in Phoenix. 600 shirts, right? That was huge. And so it was cool to coordinate that and bring it all together. Next, this was about 2 years ago. So January 22, everything just shut off for me. We might never know why. Obviously, I feel much better now, but no drive, no initiative, you know, a deep depression. It could have been burnout. It could have been bad patterns, right? Bad habits, drinking regularly, too regularly. I do a lot of restaurant and beverage scene product and brewery collaborations, right? So just because I do something for someone in that space doesn't mean I need to partake in it, you know, that often. So, but yeah, it was always around. It got too routine. It wasn't even like a reward, you know, like, all right, cool. I worked from 7 to 7 and we'll rip a couple beers. It was just ingrained. And so that could have been the cause of it. I'm more or less a team of one. So it could have just been going hard, right? Looking back at this Vantage West pocket for 7 years. But anyways, this was down at the Monica supporting my friends, Paul and Hector. They run Vibin and a couple other cool like youth literacy initiatives. And so, yeah, this was my first time in public in like 7 months. You know, I just went full hermit mode, but it was cool. You know, just drinking iced tea was new, right? And just being in the mix, you know, supporting my friends. But it was nice to just recalibrate and take like a bird's eye view of my own life and what might not have been working, right? Sometimes we get so ingrained in our day-to-day that it's just the day-to-day. You know, we don't question it. It's comfortable, you know, and there's beauty and security and comfort. but maybe I just got too comfortable with drinking and it was complacent, kind of stagnant. So anyways, it was great to be back out. I'm sober right around 14 months, so that's pretty rad. Next theme, let's see, just a nice little mix. So yeah, this is, I mean, I'm always sewing. I love interactive booths. I love that component of it, right? Letting people design their own, whether it be cut, color, pocket fabric. So that's super fun. Anita and I were talking about a month ago just about how methodical and kind of there's a certain calmness to even the routine of sewing. It's might be mundane at times, tedious, but it's also, you know, grounding. It's what helps me, I guess, directly or indirectly take my mind off the chaos and the clutter, and I can just focus on that. So always sewing. Yeah, I've reached a point now where we've got some help, you know, because up until 5 years ago, it was all me. Like anything that came out of the brand, I made. So that's been a fun run. This was on the runway at Phoenix Fashion Week. These moments that you kind of just black out. You know, I don't really remember that, but it was fun, right? I got all my models behind me, and just cool to see people's reactions. Bottom left, again, kind of circling back to how I started this talk. When I do any kind of press or just kind of off the top interview or podcast, I always circle back to my core, you know, embodying the four core things, again, skateboarding, hip hop, the automotive scene, and art with this Southwest flair. I feel like I'm a through and through lifestyle brand. So yeah, it's always fun. I did a recent interview with a girl from ASU, bear down, but it was cool. You know, it was great to talk through it and just get back to the basics and get back to like, why am I actually doing this? What's worked for me consistently? High, low, sideways, whatever it might be. And then the bottom right was, this is fun. You know, I've worked with Sean Parker. I've worked with Pueblo Vita. This was my buddy, Tony Aragon. So neat pics I take. And we did a Hearts for Tucson campaign, you know, when the lockdown hit and pandemic. And it was just, you know, in one sense, or pretty much in the only sense, it's what we could do. So we, you know, $100 here to like Thunder Canyon for hand sanitizer, $100 here for like the Hermanos staff tip pool, whatever it was. So I think we got it up to like $3,000. You know, and Tony and I could still do something and put out product and kind of float this really uncertain time. So it was cool to get back to the community. That's a photo he took, right? So putting something that might usually be framed on a wall on a new medium and just having a blast. And then to wrap it up, this is some stuff within the past year. And so we did with Cactus Rent Apparel. I found them at the Tankerverde Market. And so, you know, trying these patterns and cool combos and just, we figured we'd try some toddler, you know, and youth sizes. So that was fun. The top right was for, you know, in the literal sense of pattern, was for Oso Brewing up in Phoenix, a cool summery print all over. Bottom left, so this is my girlfriend Tiffany and her daughter Cammie. This was at a cool premiere at the Roadhouse Cinema. I had shot we had some B-roll footage for one of my intro videos for Fashion Week by De Dios Media. And so they were able to loop it in to a documentary about the Tucson Botanical Gardens light show, holiday light show. So it was cool. They needed some local footage and at the same quality, so it was in there. I remember Cammie looking over. Again, it was kind of like that Dancing with the Stars example. So I had like a couple second clip, clean, nevertheless, but brief. And she was like, "Was that it?" So we have a blast, but they've been great, you know, and supporting, I guess, Cumulative 2.0, and just reframing everything, staying the course, staying true to my brand, being consistent with staying sober. So extremely grateful there. And then the bottom right, again, full circle, we happen to have an empty pool at my dad's house. He found a guy on a job once who was doing HVAC work and saw the skateboard in his truck, and he's like, we have an empty pool. I don't know how good it is, but like, here's my son's number. I'm like, thanks, Dad. But yeah, it started this whole thing. So we have a permission pool. We had a promotional party for that hat that I showed earlier, that maroon hat, back in like 2009, 10, 11, somewhere in there. So we got this big sticker in the pool. So it makes for great content. But yeah, we grew up skateboarding. We used to have a half pipe. And so it's cool to, again, stick to the core of the brand, right? Stay true, stay consistent. So this was a cool shot. Chris Russell. And he's a full-fledged pro. So yeah, the shot on the left was just something I took from like the upstairs balcony. And then he ended up getting a Thrasher cover, which I'm sure Chris can attest to is like the epitome of skateboarding. So yeah, that's my take on pattern, whether it be good, bad, breaking them, staying true. Yeah, having a blast. So I'm super grateful for this opportunity. And I know going through, the mental health struggles and questioning, am I drinking too much? Why is it too routine? I know, synonymously with taking that leap, right, from pocket tees and basics up into, full-fledged cohesive collections and garments and cut and sew. I think a theme that I always circle back to and what's really helped me grow is finding comfort in your discomfort zone. And there's a couple different ways to phrase that. But yeah, I think it promotes growth, no matter what you do, business, service, whatever it may be. And that's something that's always rang true to Cumulative, whether it be something I pursued, like a new opportunity, or just kind of being a product of your environment and product of your circumstance. So yeah, thank you so much for this morning. Grateful to share my journey, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.